The first Persian Gulf War was, in a way, a war for oil. The second Persian Gulf War, the 2003 Iraq War, was not, right? The first Persian Gulf War was prompted by Saddam's invasion of Kuwait in 1990. The United States viewed it as an act of naked aggression, and President Bush and his advisors worried that if Saddam controlled the oil fields of Kuwait, and if he added to those the oil fields of Saudi Arabia, he would control so much of the oil market overall that he could affect prices unilaterally, right? He could essentially achieve the dream that OPEC tried to do in 1973. He wouldn't have to organize so many countries together to do it. He unilaterally would control enough oil that if he produced less of it, prices would go way up. And that threat, the threat of causing prices to go up, meant that Saddam would potentially have coercive leverage against the United States and its allies. Kuwait itself was bad enough. Saudi Arabia, the United States worried, would be even worse. And Saddam was giving some indications that he could move into Saudi Arabia next. Iraqi forces are massing along the Iraq-Saudi Arabia border. And that worried the United States that Saddam might try to take over Saudi oil fields next after taking over Kuwait. So the United States got involved in two operations. The first one was Operation Desert Shield. That operation involved sending American troops to Saudi Arabia in order to deter an Iraqi attack on Saudi Arabia. The following year, in early 1991, the United States launched Operation Desert Storm. That was the campaign to kick Iraqi forces out of Kuwait and back into Iraq. That restored the status quo so that Saddam no longer had access to a larger amount of oil resources in the region. President Bush, interestingly, was very straightforward about how important this war was for maintaining a steady and reasonably priced flow of oil from the Gulf, right? He framed it as one, trying to react. So President Bush framed the war in two ways. One, it's part of a new world order where now that the Soviet Union and the United States have ended the Cold War, international cooperation was hopefully going to carry the day. And aggression, one country taking over another country like Iraq had done to Kuwait, would be a thing of the past. So he was standing up to this idea that going forward after the Cold War, aggression was not going to be allowed to stand. And then the second reason was it's not just aggression in general. Aggression against oil fields in particular affects American national security because it has the potential to cause oil prices to go way, way up and to give Saddam coercive leverage over the United States by using this threat of cutting off oil. So those are the two ways that the United States got involved. And then after the US went into Kuwait, it did not go into Iraq, and it allowed Saddam Hussein to stay there.